All right, we're looking at the Zondo Commission. You were at the first day of the ANC's sort of testimony. We heard from the Chairman, Gwede Mantashe. Mzwandile Mbeje, Senior Reporter, welcome. The ANC has been saying it's not on trial, but it had to defend itself pretty strongly today.
Absolutely, and they told us that this is not the last time they are coming to the Commission, because a number of people have been saying things about them, and of course they also want to give a global picture at the end, their take, and they made it very clear to say actually they are the reason why the Zondo Commission is there. So that was the impression they wanted to create.
Let's interrogate that firstly, because didn't a judge tell the former President Jacob Zuma that he had to set up the commission based on the Public Protector's report?
Well, they're saying, I mean, because I think I even remember when Mr. Mokoena asked the chair to say, I mean, if the courts did not say you have to have this commission, so would you have it? And then it was very clear, Gwede Mantashe, to say the ANC had taken a decision on its own. Remember, they had their own process first, but they felt this needed a bigger forum, so an independent body which was going to run this kind of thing. And then he read the resolutions of the 2017 National Conference, basically instructing that there be a judicial commission of inquiry.
The overall, I mean, there's even been a claim against Gwede Mantashe himself that he blurred the lines between party and state. We heard from Barbara Hogan when she was a minister. She said things that the party didn't like about SAA. She wasn't summoned by another executive. She was summoned by Luthuli House.
Absolutely. In fact, we actually put that question to him. Remember, after giving his testimony, so he came outside to speak to the media, we were able to put that question to him to say, there are many people who have actually implicated you directly, and the issues around Ms. Barbara Hogan. So they said, given that their evidence will be in 4 parts, so this was mainly today about the banks, but the next one then will deal with those issues where they will clarify why they called people like Barbara Hogan. In fact, Gwede Mantashe was saying, yes, his name will come up. He thinks it will come up more and more because he's the SG of the party, basically the accounting officer, I would say.
Yeah. So the banks, then let's talk about the banks.
Yes.
Standard Bank, I think, was pretty clear that it felt pressurized by the ANC to not close Gupta-linked bank accounts. The others said there were meetings, they were called to the ANC. Do you think he convinced the Commission that it was fair and reasonable for the ANC to get involved in a matter like this in the way it did?
I think the manner in which he set out his evidence really, it did look, because I think he was able to state the case to say here was a situation where people were saying, ANC, you are the governing party, thousands of people will lose their jobs, what are you doing about it? And then he said, because we did not understand how the banks worked, so then we wanted to understand how they operated. But then when they had informed us how they operated, so then we said, like, okay, it's fine, there's nothing we can do. On the Standard Bank issue, I mean, he was saying he was quite surprised, the person who gave evidence, because he was directly contradicting the CEO, Sim Shabalala, who basically said this was a cordial meeting, so where they really understood each other when it came to that issue.
Well, some would say this SG of the ANC should understand how the banks work. I mean, he's been close to the legislation that has changed in the past few years around banks. Besides do you think he came across that it was fair and reasonable, again, to meet with all of them, to get involved? Remember, this was only about one black business. They kept on saying black business, job losses, but I'm sure there's a myriad of black businesses who wanted the ANC's help. Yeah,
basically what he was saying is that as the ruling party, you can't, when you see that there's something going wrong and there are so many people who are saying, but as the governing party, what are you doing? What are the banks doing? Because there was also the suspicion that, is it a collusion? So is it politically motivated? You know, they had to understand. So what what informed that action? So, but in his evidence, he said they were not saying the banks should do like those people demanded, but all they wanted to do was to understand how they operated, and then from there So they were able to say, well, because the banks stated their case to say, we have so many legislations that we need to comply with. So if we see something suspicious or transactions that may be untoward, we have to act. In fact, as the banks in this country, we've been able to take South Africa into the top 10 of the best financial institutions in the world. So if then there were to be people who were to come and interfere with how we operate, it will jeopardize that status.
All right, thank you very much. So this was day one, but like you said, there's more to come. The whole Fireblade issue with Oppenheimer's, he was mentioned in that. So lots more to come from Gwede Mantashe at the Zondo Commission. That was SABC reporter Mzwandile Mbeje.